Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?
Hi, I'm Steve Clemens, and I have a question. You know how people always say U.S. politics weren't so toxic in the good old days? Well, really? Or is it all pretty much the same, but our memories are shoddy? Let's get to the bottom line. Spanish philosopher George Santayana is famous for saying those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it. Even though really big surprises can happen and change everything, the truth is that if you hang around long enough, you'll see the same cycles repeat themselves, especially in politics. At least that's the message that I get from reading the memoirs of my guest today, who had a front seat, well, more like a front podium, to decades of American history. He is Chris Matthews, longtime roving D.C. bureau chief of the San Francisco Examiner, speechwriter for President Jimmy Carter, former host of the TV show Hardball on MSNBC, which was a political institution for more than 20 years. He retired last year and recently published his autobiography, This Country, My Life in Politics and History. Chris Matthews, it's terrific to have you with us today. Let me just ask you about the frame you had. When I read about you getting into politics, coming out of the Catholic scene in Pennsylvania, and getting a patronage job, all of the inner workings of those political forces at the time, it kind of reminded me that it had kind of a tribal dimension. And so as I look at new tribes emerging in American politics today, I'm just interested in whether or not we're just at the front end of what it was like when Boston Catholics or Philadelphia Catholics came in, and how, whether or not we're just reliving history and aren't yet quite really realizing it.
Well, I was on Tip O'Neill's last junket, Codell, back in '86. It was all over Latin America. We went everywhere. We went to Buenos Aires. We went to Brasilia. We went to Rio. We went to Venezuela. We went to the Dominican Republic. It was quite a trip. And there were a lot of business meetings and all, but it was fun. And it wasn't until we got to Easter Sunday in the Dominican Republic at Casa de Campo, that golf resort, that I noticed that everybody was at Mass. I mean, the Republicans, the Democrats, Charlie Rangel was there, who's African-American. Everybody was there. And I said, what does this group have in common? And I realized they were all Catholic. So I don't know how much Tip O'Neill put into that, but that's the way it turned out. And I go, oh, this is interesting. And I think about his pals. They weren't all Catholics, but certainly he had that affinity with Jack Murtha and Charlie Rangel and people like that. And it was interesting. So I guess there was tribes. I know when I first went knocking on doors on Capitol Hill after getting back from the Peace Corps, I started with the Irish Catholics. Trouble is, I got one who was mobbed up. I won't give his name, but he was clearly mobbed up. They had a terrible expose on him about a body being taken out of his basement. It was a loan shark. This guy was in real deep with the Hudson County Democratic machine, which was corrupt, certainly then. And he was mobbed. And they had the FBI tape recordings on him, working with a local capo, helping him protect his gambling interest into Operation Syndicate. So that wasn't a smart move. But that was the way I began looking for a job. I thought the Peace Corps, Holy Cross, where I went to college, would help me get the door open in those cases. It didn't particularly help. I ended up, ironically, with Tip O'Neill for 6 years. We certainly fit the bill. I ended up actually, in that case, working for a very devout Mormon from Utah, Wayne Owens, who was top aide to Frank Moss, the last liberal senator from Utah. But that's how I started off. So, yeah, I guess I had a little bit of that tribalism in me.
But it's really, what I really enjoyed about your book and the stories you tell is you tell the great and good. You talk about America at its best. You talk about American patriotism. But you had this frame. I mean, you were a cop. Got a job walking along Pennsylvania Avenue at night, which I found amusing, and we may reflect on that in a minute. But I think there's another side to it, which is, if you look at the other myth of American politics, is that it's a melting pot, that we've got people from all backgrounds and races that can come to. You talk about the magic of America being a place that people can come to and be accepted and be here. I found it very powerful. But at the same time, when you get into this town in Washington, D.C., we've got, right now the Democratic Party divided into different factions. We've got the left, we've got, folks in the center. We've got a Joe Manchin. We have an, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We have the black and brown communities, as you write in your book. that are finding their places. And I guess what I'm trying to figure out is where it comes out, or whether this kind of, bumper cars of these different groups is really a lot like what you started out in the 70s. And whether they, or have we evolved so that we can actually be,
Steve,
better?
That's just a rich question, because I remember we used to have these Democratic retreats down at Greenbrier, West Virginia, that wonderful old sort of antebellum resort. And I love the fact that we had sort of amateur entertainment nights. And you'd have the country western guys, the country guys from the South singing along. And you had Dan Glickman, who's Jewish, doing Al Jolson. He was pretty good at Al Jolson. Not great, but pretty good at Al Jolson. You had a gay member who was openly gay there in a sort of his wardrobe selection, I would say, his choices. It was a great mixture of liberals, conservatives, northerners, southerners, all kinds of people. They were all Democrats. They were not all homogeneously politically together, that's for sure. They were Southern Democrats in those days still. So it was a coalition party rather than a party of identity or a party of
Thinking, innovative, and totally open-minded. Tommy Nation Politics. Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today? Tommy Nation Politics.
Mr. Bezos, we are about to depart into space. Please fasten your seatbelt and put your straight table up and drink the rest of your martini. Martinis might be non-gravitational.
Hello, citizens of Earth. You may know me as Jeff Bezos, founder of the best and most important company on the face of your realm, most powerful and technologically advanced company in the world, Amazon. I am Jeffrey Jefferson Bezos, creator of the Amazon drone, and technologically powerful wizard and sorcerer that has manifested Alexa while you were staying at home on your stupid and so mortal lockdown. I was doubling my wealth and expanding my reach in time and space, and on and on. And now that I have mastered the colonization of Earth, I shall reach new heights and new majesties as the stars. In my exploration of space, I not believe I could accomplish such a task. Well, I accomplished the task of the mind-reading drone known as Alexa, didn't I? Did I not? Did I not? Did I not accomplish the unique and stunning creation of Alexa? Master drone, reading, mind reader of thoughts, buyer of DVDs on Amazon Prime? It is of no consequence to me that your mortal minds cannot wrap around their cerebral cortexes the very idea of domination in space. That is only for the masters of Amazon. That is only for the talented and skilled wizards of technocratic Silicon Valley magic. A guild unlike any other, known to the civilizations of mankind. I shall not even try to attempt the meaningless task of conveying to you, mere mortals, the arduous and incredulous tasks before me. Tasks that God himself might find difficult. Instead, I will dumb down my incredible and meticulous proposals in magazines and newspapers that I have just now financed due to the doubling of my wealth, like Washington Post and the New York Times, and the Sun. But before I depart on my arduous task into space, I must convey to you mere mortals that you have a task as well, to live up to the leadership principles of Amazon in my absence, and to show pride to capitalist better judgment reflect on my better judgment, my smarts, my technological intuition. Now yours. You are dumb idiots. And scum. Palm scum, if you will. The most powerful and technologically advanced company in the world. Amazon. Ha 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 ha.
Hello?
Greetings.
There. We come to infinity and beyond.
Correct.
Guys, I just want to let y'all know that, well, let me start from the beginning. This is Tommy, Nation Politics. How's it going, you guys? Y'all good? It's Tommy Nation Tuesday. We're talking about the midterms, guys. The midterms, okay? With me, I have BeekBlotcher. Met him on the Stereo app. Cool beans, how's it going, man?
All right. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. I know that every time I talk to you, we have like very engaging conversations, and you got that level head to where like I feel like even though I'm like railing against the establishment and whatnot, you kind of just like add some common sense into that, and I appreciate that.
No problem. If there was ever free healthcare offered, I hope that you would take up anger management patriotically.
Oh my God!
I'm just kidding.
I mean, yes, I would love to. Do you know how many fucking dates go wrong? Do you know how many fucking relationships go wrong? Because I just flip out. It's something. Oh well. But be that as it may, guys, there's two parties in this country that no matter what they do, no matter what they say, no matter what they do, to us, they could close our businesses down. They could literally force us to insert things in their government, vaccines. Pfizer, by the way, government contract. Johnson & Johnson is being sued because of opioid abuse. Apparently, they didn't tell people or reveal to doctors how, addicting their fucking drug was. So they're drug dealers. They're drug dealers teaming up with the government to make vaccines. But we should believe in science, right? I don't know. So can you make any sense out of this, Beak? You make any sense out of this world where Jeff Bezos, the guy who doubled his wealth during the pandemic, is going to space, and the rest of us have to take this vaccine that's made by the government contracts and sued in the civil court?
I just don't want anyone to come to my door with serving papers, and I can get charged for holistic malpractice. That's all I'm concerned with. I don't want to get charged.
Did you say ballistic malpractice?
No, holistic malpractice.
Holistic. What is that? What is holistic malpractice?
Holistic, I'm just being silly. Holistic is people who don't go by traditional medicine. Like you just holistically, and you believe that you can heal yourself within your own immune system. Like you have belief in your own immune system. It's called holistic health, where you don't have to go to the doctor. Some people call them quack doctors or so forth. So I was just being silly, but I hope it doesn't get to the point where they're going to charge you for trying to trust your own immune system.
Well, I think on the other side of that, there's a lot of people who are not quacks who believe in, having a nutritious diet, making sure you're not obese, making sure that you exercise daily, make sure that you take vitamins and minerals to supplement your health, and then that should strengthen your immune system too. But our government has not even so much as uttered a word of that. You find that interesting or not?
I don't know. Interesting. It's just, I how can you trust people who don't want to trust you? Is that like, if I want to trust myself, then isn't that like, I don't know, some type of freedom for me to say, well,
it's called self-government.
I want to trust in my own immune system. I don't want to put anyone in harm's way. However, if I don't feel that it's a threat to me, and if I'm prepared to die, I mean, I'm sorry for everyone who has, but if I just want to just go outside and breathe naturally, is that a crime?
You raised some points. You raised some really good points there. You know how you have to keep going back and talking about how you're sorry about other people when you're talking about your own rights. Do you notice how you have to do that now?
Well,
they have designed it that way. They have designed it so that you must talk. No, I'm serious. That is literally my argument I'm posing. That's the reason why I started doing the show, because literally when the masks thing started happening, it wasn't because of it wasn't because of the mask. It was because literal Karens were asking me out of the blue, without any fucking official government license, to put my mask up. Everybody was a cop. And then Facebook started saying, hey, any extreme activities? Report people, right? They want us reporting each other. They want us to fucking control each other. They want fear. And that's fascist. That's a fascist totalitarian state. That's a dystopian totalitarian state. You've seen shows like that, right? Handmaid's Tale. That's how it all begins. It all begins like this. All of them. So I don't understand why this is happening. If we all know what's going to happen after this, I don't get it. But you don't think so, Beak? You think we're going to be fine? We're just going to stay here?
That I can't see. To piggyback off of what you said, like I want to comment off of. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Where it almost feels like they're saying like you have to be compassionate, but there's sympathy and there's a level of empathy. So I mean, when I'm speaking, I do want to, tread softly as far as the people who are actually. It's a mental health thing. So I still have to respect people if they believe it. That is real, then I'm not going to go against your belief. However, I would only just ask that you give me the same respect. That's all.
I mean, isn't that what black people and gay people have been asking for the longest time in the first place? But yet, when it all comes down to it, we trade our freedom and liberty for security, the security state. And in this case, it's two parties that are robbing us transparently. Even now, today, I don't know if you looked, Beak, but they're doing a 9/11 style commission on who is insurrected. Like these guys really want to fucking find out that. They've already got them all. They want to find out something else. They're using this as a fucking shield to fool us. It's really not hard to figure out. They do it all the time. They did it with 9/11. They do it all the time. I don't understand why we're so dumb. But yeah, did you see any of that today? It was on the CNN and the MSNBC and the Fox. It was on everywhere because it's supposed to be bipartisan, although it's not. It's literally the Democrats trying to fucking win in the midterms because they suck. They suck ass. They haven't done anything. Not since the American Rescue Plan. So, guys, that's just my advice. That's my opinion. You know why, guys? Because it's midterm mania. That's right. Midterm madness. Midterm elections in the United States are general elections that are held near the midpoint of a president's 4-year term in office. Joe Biden, he just got elected. He's got himself a Senate that's Democrat. He's got himself a House of Representatives that's Democrat as fuck. They haven't passed a goddamn thing. Not minimum wage, not legalizing pot, not health care, not Medicare for all, not legalizing anything. Not even legalizing sex work. You would think the Republicans would be on board with that because it's labor. You would think so. Right to work, sex work. Right to work. Love that shit. Yeah, so they haven't done a damn thing. They were only robbing us. They used the American Rescue Plan to funnel untold billions and trillions of dollars to their donors and then to foreign countries. Then they gave us $1,400 and said Trump gave you $600, bitches. Move on. So now, this is where we're at. Now, they're using this fucking commission as a prop to do the next phase of their stupid, evil, dastardly, nefarious plans. And I'm here, Tommy Nation Politics, to figure out what that might be. Now, I'm pretty sure that Beak, while I'm on the way, is going to probably insert some hilarity, because I'm super serious right now. Super fucking serious.
I don't know how much hilarity I could add into exactly what you're saying, the things that are going on. With the commission, what are they trying to do? They're trying to find more suspects?
Yes, that's what they think that's what they want everybody to think they're doing. So the FBI, they've got the dogs on the trail. The dogs are on the trail, okay? They've literally fucking arrested 500 people, more than that. So, is there a problem? No, there's not. The FBI does very well on their own. In fact, I'm pretty sure a few of those guys weren't even there. The FBI just picked them up anyway, because that's what the FBI does. Put a black bag over their head and fucking carried them to a site and tortured them for a bit. And then they were like, yes, I was at the insurrection. Just stop torturing me. That's what the FBI does. I'm just saying. It's true. That's what they do.
You said the 9/11, or were you talking about?
It's a 9/11 style commission. So the last time they did a commission like this, they came up with a Patriot Act, so they could drone strike and bomb other countries without Congress's approval. You know, in the Constitution, Congress declares war. Congress does. Now they don't have to anymore because of the Patriot Act. So see, Beak, that's why I'm saying that this new commission isn't about the insurrection. It's about them unleashing another terrible, horrible power that they've just come up. They're going to come up with a terrible, horrible power out of the blue that's going to secure us and keep us safe from the insurrectionists. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it's not.
Yeah, I get it. What doesn't make any sense is that building is a public building. So like on a normal day, like you can just walk in there. So it just happened to be that on the inaugural day it was closed, and then people just mounted up and they forced their way into it.
Right.
So I don't know how that's considered. That like I don't know. I really don't. It's hard for me.
Let me tell you. Because the puppets of the rich were inside there. The puppets of the rich don't like smelling pores. They do not like smelling Axe body spray or Dove soap. They don't like smelling fucking Lubriderm. They don't like smelling Curel, okay? They don't like it. They smelled the pores coming in. So now we all got to pay. You understand? That's all there is to it. Nancy Pelosi, they took her laptop and her mailbox. You thought someone's got to pay, I guess. She called it assault on democracy. I was assault on Nancy fucking Pelosi. And let me just tell you that. It's not an assault on democracy. These guys are so full of themselves. If
they didn't like mark anything on any specific log books, then what really changed within the government besides a breach into a building? Let's just let's just break it down. So they breached the building, and that is the country. Like,
yeah, it's not a country. It's a democracy. That's literally democracy.
Sorry,
democracy.
I don't understand the connection. Yeah, I don't understand the connection.
Well, I'm glad you don't, because that means you're a normal human being. But the partisans, the partisans do. The partisans do, Beak. The partisans do. They understand the connection. They understand the connection like fuck. So that's my problem, bro. That's my problem. Is that there is no connection, obviously. But these guys can talk, and 40% of the country literally listens to them, even though they lie all the time. How is this possible? I don't get it. But
no laws were changed. No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut. I was just saying nothing. No laws were changed. Nothing governmental changed except property, except the building, like architecture. What else besides architecture and maybe some defecation that had to be cleaned up? Other than that, what else was broken?
Nancy Pelosi had to get a new mailbox. That's for sure. She had to get a new mailbox. And then AOC, she said she had trauma. She got trauma from it. She got PTSD. That's what she said. They're so dramatic. I really wish they'd get the fuck to work. Really, honestly.
The combat mission in Iraq will officially end by year's end. Now, during a meeting at the White House with the Iraqi Prime Minister, President Joe Biden stressed the US is not turning its back on a strategic partnership.
It's just to be available to continue to train, to assist, to help, and to deal with ISIS as it arrives. But we are not going to be, by the end of the year, in a combat mission.
Iraq has demanded an end to the combat mission, and the announcement makes the current status quo official. More details now from CNN's Awa Damon.
U.S. forces will be remaining in Iraq, perhaps a change in semantics, no longer being called combat troops, but rather as an advise and assist unit. And this is what the Iraqi Prime Minister says his country needs. But it's not just ongoing training of the Iraqi security forces. What is also especially critical to Iraq is America's intelligence sharing and other capabilities. And it would seem that at this stage, nearly a decade later, both the U.S. and Iraq want to avoid what happened towards the end of 2011 under the Obama administration, when what many would say a premature withdrawal of U.S. forces took place, which ended up being one of the many key factors that allowed for the reemergence of ISI, the Islamic State of Iraq, ISIS's predecessor, which then very quickly grew and morphed into the most formidable terrorist organization that we have seen to date. But this ongoing U.S. troop presence, despite what is being publicly said, is not just about training and assisting Iraqi forces. Is not just about an ongoing battle against ISIS, which does continue to carry out devastating attacks in Iraq, albeit not to the same degree that it used to in the past. This is also about creating a counterbalance to Iran's growing influence, a counterbalance to the strength and power of the Iranian-backed Shia militias that many will argue are even more powerful than the Iraqi security forces themselves. Arwa Damon, CNN, Istanbul.
Douglas Ollivant served under both.
So we have news from Iraq. News from Iraq, which is going to be that they're no longer calling themselves combat forces. They're going to be called, what is it? Advising unit. An advising unit. The language has changed. Advising unit, okay, check. We don't want to have a premature withdrawal. Doesn't this sound like some kind of Catholic sex talk? Oh my God! I bet your advising unit warning you to not have a premature withdrawal. The key factors that started ISIS caliphate. Well, guys, I don't know. Let me just tell you, Beacon. I'm an old guy. I'm 36 years old, and I remember when George W. Bush was talking about this war. He literally referenced it all the time to Vietnam. He would talk about Vietnam, and he would talk about this war. And I was like, I thought this was a peacekeeping mission, right? I would always wonder that, but nobody questioned him because the media was in love with George W. Bush, especially after 9/11. Anybody who didn't like the Iraq War was kicked off TV. Bill Maher was kicked off. Chris Hitchens was kicked off. Everybody was kicked off of TV. That was real. Those are real leftists. Anybody who said anything bad about the war, you don't support the troops. And then, but George W. Bush was so dumb. He would constantly talk about how it was like Vietnam. And if you remember, we were in Vietnam for years and years and years, which is how it's become with here. So now, the military-industrial complex and the Senate and the Congress is lazy as hell. It doesn't even want to declare war anymore. They're so lazy, taking money from their donors. So they really like the fact that the president can drone strike anytime because they don't have to be bothered. Now they can talk about divisive rhetoric like abortions, not fucking have any responsibilities. Okay? So we've installed a puppet leader. His name is Ashraf Ghani. He's the president. He's the president. The president of Afghanistan, Ashraf Ghani. It's the first time they ever had a president because presidents don't exist down there. We've installed a puppet. He literally is a puppet. He talks like a puppet. He looks at Joe Biden at all times, making sure that everything he says is just right. So at least our puppet has a puppet, so that's nice. But here's my question, Beak. You've been around for this whole war too. What do you think? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about all this? This Afghanistan, Iraq stuff.
For the record, ISIS came from Africa, and I believe it was a deity. There's a book by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. It's called The ISIS Papers. It has zero to do with terrorism. So I just wanted to get that off the book, off the bat. As far as any, that word automatically stirring up or invoking anything, just look into the history of things. That's what I just wanted to say that off the bat. But as far as the war, I don't know what the purpose of war is anyway. To piggyback off of what you said, I think probably drone or at least better than lives lost. Is that, it may cost more, but I mean, if that's the new wave, I mean, we already have cybersecurity breaks. There's all types of different countries doing it that way. So maybe the electronic way may be more beneficial without the loss of life. If that doesn't sound too, I'll play Terminator if I don't have to die.
Where they're going to become self-aware, and Skynet's going to go live and figure out the actual problem, which is, I mean, they'll think it's humanity, but it's really just the Democrats and Republicans. They would just go one more second.
For some reason, AI can't figure out how to bring Republicans and Democrats together. Like, for some reason, that's the one.
It's impossible.
That's the one calculation is that we just can't. There's always something there. You can't figure it out.
Honestly, I'd be glad that they couldn't, because when the Republicans and the Democrats are together, they're even worse. Like, every time. We started these 2 wars with them. We all fucking held hands, walked into Iraq. Remember that? And where are the weapons of mass destruction, guys? I'm still waiting to hear that shit.
I think that was just the flex. The weapons of mass destruction, in my opinion, is like that was him just flexing, saying, "Oh, there are none because we didn't put them out there." So that was, I think that's, if I could play the advocate, of course there wasn't any to begin with, but we're like, people were upset. Send them there, and then the troops went there, and they said, "Yeah, we're looking for something." And the other people were like, "Where are they?" And they go, "Don't worry about it because we didn't have to show ours." If I could be on the other side.
So in Vietnam, we invaded jungle terrain. We napalmed it with Agent Orange and killed untold thousands of people. But we still kind of lost that war because we didn't know the territory. I don't know why. But here we're in a sand terrain, and we've been there for 20 years, and it's still same thing. We have the most powerful military on the face of the earth, and we still can't win. Isn't that weird? We can't, or I don't even know what winning is. I guess.
I don't think it's weird because a
winning
bullet can't change ideology. The war is against the mental state, like as in the mind, not in. Of course, you take a literal. What state? No, I'm talking about. Yeah, it's about ideology and belief. You're not going to go against someone's belief, and I don't go against anyone's belief. If I have a gun to you and I say, "Tell me you believe in this," you could still say you believe in what I tell you, but as soon as I leave and put the gun, I say, "Okay, that's what I thought," and walk away. You just can continue on living your life.
Correct.
So,
but that's a really good point. The point is that the gun's gonna. That's why the gun needs to permanently be at your head, or you at least need to think. You at least need to think that the gun is at your head at all times. Which is why the mandates. Right?
Well, then we'll be moving in. Like you have to. There has to be someone there. Yeah, there has to be someone there.
Does there? Because these people, they're good citizens. They do it on their own here in this country.
I guess you could use drones. You can use drones.
We use drones and drugs. I'm gonna name my next episode "Drones and Drugs." Let me say it.
That's scary. That's scary.
Drones on drugs.
That's scary.
What do you think about Bezos going to space? You like that? He's been fucking. He didn't $4 billion it would take to end world hunger. He went to space. Fuck it.
I don't understand why he didn't just, or him or the other guy, why didn't they just put a flag up there like they could get an allocation of, they could say, this is my space in space, and then they could still just, why not? Hey, if you go up there, might as well put your flag up there, let it float off and go, this radius, this is mine, and you could own and you could trade currency. I don't know. I think it's silly.
Yeah, I don't think any of us really know because we're not billionaires. Only a billionaire knows what the fuck's going on here. That's what I think.
It's an expensive roller coaster. I like theme parks, but I don't want to spend that much money to go on a roller coaster. When they get the cheap tickets, maybe I'll go.
I mean, he literally exploited us all to make us buy online and doubled his wealth during the pandemic. So I guess he deserves a vacation. All right, next up we have Kamala not saying words anymore.
Actor in her heavily criticized response to
the video broke.
I did. Damn it.
Yep.
Actor in her heavily criticized response to the border crisis and reports of a toxic work environment, it might not be a shocker that her approval rating is underwater in recent surveys. The Real Clear Politics average of polling shows 44% of Americans view Vice President favorably, while her unfavorable rating sits just above 46%. Mercedes, working in the White House, and you're in comms and you're leading your team. I'm just going back to where you were. And those kinds of numbers come in. What does the day look like at the White House after that?
Well, it's always stressful when you start seeing these poll numbers dip. But let's be real. There is the White House comms team, and then there's a vice president's comms team. And while they work closely together, and I will say between President Trump and Vice President Pence, it was actually a pretty harmonious relationship. Mm-hmm. There are differences because they're obviously trying to push sometimes their own agenda. So when you have staffers within a vice president's office, like we're seeing with Kamala, literally leaking on her, basically saying how dysfunctional the office is, resigning, these are huge problems for the vice president. It becomes a distraction to the president. And so they're really, I think right now what I would think is that the White House comms team has to be very concerned that every time Kamala Harris opens her mouth, she messes up. She obviously failed on the border crisis, didn't handle simple questions on when are you going to the border. And now they've pushed her aside to basically say, okay, handle the voting rights issue. So we have to see how that happens. And that was a disaster because it became a super spreader event with the Texas Democrats. So I got to tell you, Kamala is only adding more negativity to this Biden presidency.
Okay, so looking at the Gallup poll, I have Joe Biden this week sitting. His approval rating is 51% favorable, and so I guess 49% unfavorable. And Kamala Harris in the Rasmussen poll is 46% unfavorable. She's got more unfavorability than Joe Biden. Both of the criticisms are the same. Every time they open their mouths, they fuck up. Isn't that ironic? They're both getting the same criticism from the right and the left, from everybody. It's interesting. But I can understand why Kamala Harris would have such bad favorability. She's not in it for us as a parent, but she's also, her rhetoric is it's very negative. Like the Fox News, do not come when she went to Guatemala. Do not come, don't come to our fucking border. After she was talking about the entire time how Trump's a racist. Trump's so racist. She goes to Guatemala. First thing she says is, "Do not come." And then don't forget what she did to Tulsi Gabbard. Fucking smeared her during the She smeared Biden during the fucking primaries. Said Biden was a racist because of busing. Remember that? It was a debate. She's a liar. But what's worse is she's not even good at it. She just resorts to this laugh to fucking sell it, and her laugh is creepy. It's not a selling point, Kamala. Your laugh is creepy. It's not a selling point. Just so you know. Beek, what do you think?
Yeah, the do not come, that's a little brash. Maybe it could have been lightened up a little bit. I don't know who wrote that line.
Yeah.
Could have been a like please abide by. I don't know, something. Just do not come is kind of, it is kind of.
She said it twice too. She said do not come. Do not come.
Yeah, that's I think that's a little too harsh as far as, it's not very open. Yeah, it's not very heartwarming. Yeah. I can't really speak on anything other than that because I don't really follow too much of what they say per se. But all I want to say is whoever's complaining about them had better not have voted for them, because then they would just be complaining about themselves.
See, I'm gonna have to push back on that, because I'm just saying that you're probably right more along the lines, because if you vote for the Democrats and Republicans, you already know what you're getting. You're getting liars, thieves, and murderers. That's what you're getting. If you vote for a Democrat or a Republican, you're getting a liar, a thief, or a murderer. So you should already know that. But I will say this: it used to be that people would actually campaign on things, and then they'd fulfill their campaign promises because they'd have a platform and an agenda. This administration doesn't have one. Their agenda is not be Trump. That is the literal agenda. So legalizing pot, no. Medicare for all, no. A minimum wage, no. Not being Trump, yes. And that's pretty much what is coming down to. Is that I think you know how gas is so high now? Yeah, I think people are running out of the whole Trump derangement gas too. I think people are starting to really just honestly calm the fuck down and realize that Trump he might have been an idiot, dumbass motherfucker, but he wasn't as bad as fucking George W. Bush. Okay, let me just tell you guys, Trump was not as bad as George W. Bush. Okay, real talk. So stop crying. You know, he wasn't. He really wasn't. So there's really no quantifiable way you could say he was worse than George W. Bush. There's no way. I'm just saying. All right, this is the last video, guys. We're gonna wrap it up, but gotta get to
Very fun moment during the Bill Burr Monday Morning podcast, which apparently is also released on Thursdays, but no quibbles there in terms of his schedule. I get it, as somebody who has to contend a little bit with that. So Bill Burr, let's put this tear sheet up on the screen. Absolutely hilarious. Savages CNN as un-American pieces of fill in the blank who want Trump for ratings. True. And yeah, first of all, fact check, true. I've seen this passed around all over the internet to hilarious response. Let's take a listen to Bill in his own words because it's just too damn good.
I got to tell you, my mother-in-law comes over to help watch the kids, and she always puts on CNN. And do you know what those fucking morons are doing? They're fucking talking about Trump. I swear to God, I cannot believe people watch that channel. They're so dumb. It's like, do you think these people give a fuck? They want Darth Vader to come back. They want him to come back because they got nothing to talk about because it's show business, and Joe Biden is a fucking bore. They can't bitch about him because he's wearing a blue tie. So now what do? They're going out there, they're doing what they did the first time to get this guy elected by giving him all this free coverage while they act like they allegedly don't like him. I don't buy it. They're a corporate news channel, and they're fucking treasonous, un-American pieces of shit, just like Fox News, MSNBC, just like all of them. Just like fucking all of them. I was at the gym the other day, right? Fucking Billy Big Boobs, right? I'm on the elliptical. And they had CNN on with the sound down, and I wanted to ask him, can you turn the fucking channel? No, they didn't have the sound down. They made it seem like all of California was on fire, which I know it is, but like there's nothing I can do about it. All right. And then they go, okay, and then now let's talk COVID, and the numbers are up. It's just like, what is their fucking deal on those channels? Don't they have any idea what they're doing to you? Here I am at the fucking gym trying to work off a bunch of goddamn ice cream sundaes, and all I get is fucking fires and pandemic shit. You can't fucking, how about a positive story? I swear to God, if I ran a 24-hour news network, our brand would be, we give you 2 bad, but we still give you 1 good. 2 steps back, but 1 step forward. We'd give you a couple of good stories. You do a story that involves race relations where people are actually getting along. Well, that doesn't get ratings. You have to make them feel like shit. You have to scare the hell out of them. You got to make them feel like they got a virus, their house is going to burn down, and that the Nazis are coming back. To us, those are the tent poles that make for a great...
Two steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I mean, let's start with you, Beak. What do you? How do you feel about what he was conveying?
How can I break the impenetrable everything that he just said? I have nothing. Like, I agree totally with everything he said. It's just a show. Except that when anyone brings up Nazis, I always have to remind them that like Vietnam, they lost. Other than that, I have nothing against it.
Yeah, I think what I think is that yes, I agree with him completely. But it's that. Let me just comment on that. That is how you keep the gun at their fucking. You're talking about getting a gun to your head. Tell me what you believe. This is how they do it. Now, Noam Chomsky called it manufacturing consent. Manufacturing consent. The media. The media's job was to keep the politicians in check. The Fourth Estate, keep them accountable for their actions. Now the media's job is literally to keep us from reacting to the politicians and how horrible they are. That's how that is literally what it is now for.
Jeez. I understand, but what about, like, we still have to make the decision to react as to the fear-mongering that's coming towards us. I get it. From their end, they're just saying, be afraid, but what is it about each individual person that we have to take it in ourselves and then diversify the information?
Right.
I think that's what separates certain people, as far as, like, you take it as face value. I call it face value media. So if I watch the news, then I already got a shield on. I'm like, yeah, half this. I'm like, yeah, okay, 4,000 people a day. Geez, I don't know, but that's what they say. That's what they say. That's a lot of people.
You sound like a free thinker, bro. That's what you sound like. But there's a lot of bandwagon mentality out there, and I guess that's how it works. And I don't really know how I was looking at the Rasmussen poll, like, because of the other story. They've never polled me once. I've never been polled. Have you been polled before? Has anybody polled you? Asked you what do you think about a candidate or something? Just called you up on your rotary phone?
Yeah. They asked me about gun. They asked me about gun rights. When I worked for a government agency as a contractor IT, and I was walking down the street in Washington D.C. and then cameras and stuff. How do you feel about gun? Blah. I don't even remember what I said. Oh, if that video comes out, trust me, if I ever get famous, they'll pull that crap out and they'll be like, "Look what he said." I don't even remember what I said.
That Marjorie Taylor Greene just like, oh my God, she lied to the flesh. That bitch is crazy. She'll come after you, bro. I hope you said something that didn't get her. She's crazy. Either her or AOC is gonna get you. They're crazy.
As long as they come at me with a clear mindset or prepared to hear clear responses, then that's it.
Yeah, they're not. They're not going to be doing that. Just they're the Congress, so they're not going to be doing that. But I will say Bill Burr is right. The media's ratings just declined heavily after Trump was elected, or Trump got out of office. His fat ass was walking up the plane steps. CNN plummeted with ratings. They had to fire their CEO, Jeff Zucker. And I swear to God, Britney Spears, her little conservatorship, single-handedly fucking brought them back to literally at least neutral. I swear to God, Britney Spears single-handedly saved the media after Trump left. So, so treasonous. I think they are treasonous. I mean, I don't say this stuff lightly. People think that I'm just saying words. Let me tell you guys, I don't know how you swear an oath to defend us against threats from foreign and domestic. You fail on that oath. Then you proceed to rob us and funnel wealth to your fucking campaign donors. What else would you describe that as, if not traitors? So just to let you guys know where I'm coming from. They're doing treason. Just put it that way. I'm not trying to accuse anyone or giving libel or anything, but their actions as they are being done is treasonous. Because they're supposed to have oaths and they literally broke them. And you reelected them, guys, most of them, which it depresses me, Beak. During the last election, last year, most of the incumbents, who should have all been fucking fired, have stayed in office. From the city hall, to city districts, to mayorships, to governors. The only person who got his ass kicked was President Trump. Why is that?
Because the way the system is set up, the spotlight isn't on the lower level, which actually has the pull. The Supreme Court and all those other people, they have not same authority, but they do have governing authority. So all those people you're talking about on the lower end, the spotlight's not on them. So that's why they could stay longer. And unfortunately, they could do stuff where the light's not always shining.
So I think the lesson today is in the midterms, we're going to have ballots. Are you going to vote? Do you vote?
I have voted before, but yeah, maybe after speaking to you, yes.
I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do because I believe in voting, but they're all corrupt, and I'm not going to be enabling it. I'm not an enabler anymore. I will not be an enabler. Not now. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but all I can say is I'll definitely be voting for the lower, like you said, the lower people, the mayorships and stuff like that. I think it's time we get to shine a light on our local government and our communities, because we got to really stop this neoliberal shit it seems to be trickling down. Their economics is trickling down. Their fucking fascist activities are trickling down, and so is their fucking bullshit and their darkness. So we need to shine a light on our local leaders. And I think that could be a way to what do you think? That could be a way to combat the national stage's dysfunctionality?
It will be a step in the right direction for anger management people.
Okay. Well, then sign me up then. Well, guys, this was Beak. Beak, tell them where to find you.
I'm at BeekBlotcher. I think I have a YouTube, but I'm actually not sure. I'm on Facebook as well. Just thank you for inviting me to the show. I appreciate it, man.
I hope you come back. I hope you're a regular. Guys, he's on Stereo app too. Make sure that you follow him on the Stereo app. And guys, from me to you, be free thinking, innovative, totally open-minded. Domination Politics.
Peace.